Hey everyone, welcome back to US Podcast. I'm Sarah, and honestly, I'm so excited you're here. This is your go-to English podcast for learning English and improving your life. And of course, I've got my fantastic co-host here with me, Mike. Mike, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Sarah. I'm doing great. I'm feeling really energized and ready for today's topic. There's something in the air today. How about you? How are you feeling?
I'm doing well, actually. But I want to tell you something. Yesterday, I sat down, and I had this moment where I was thinking, I was wondering, why does it feel like some people completely turn their lives around while others just stay stuck in the same place? Like, stuck.
Oh man, I've totally had that thought too. You see someone go from really struggling, really fighting, and then suddenly, boom, they're successful. And you're sitting there wondering, what's their secret? Like, are they just lucky, or is there something they're actually doing differently?
Exactly. That's exactly it. And then I started thinking back to when I was learning English. At first, it felt impossible. So many words, so many rules. My brain felt like it was going to explode, honestly. But then, little by little, things started making sense, and I realized something.
What did you realize?
That the same thing that worked for learning English works for everything in life.
That's so true. When I first started learning, I kept thinking, and this sounds silly now, but I kept thinking if I just knew more words, I'd be fluent. Like vocabulary was the magic key. But it wasn't just about that. It was about building habits, changing my mindset, and actually using what I learned.
Yes, and that's when it hit me. Life is exactly the same way. Big transformations, they don't happen overnight. Nobody wakes up and is suddenly a different person. It's not about one huge dramatic decision. It's about the little changes we make every single day, the tiny decisions that add up.
And that's exactly what we're talking about today, how to actually change your life. But before we jump into the real stuff, we have something special for you listeners.
We've created a free PDF, and it's packed with practical exercises to help you take real steps to change your life. It includes key takeaways from today's discussion, comprehension questions to test your understanding, grammar exercises to build confidence in your English skills.
And that's not all. We're introducing some intermediate level words and phrases today, too.
Exactly. And later in the episode, Charlotte will break down those words and phrases for you. She'll explain what they mean and show you how to use them in real-life conversations. So definitely stick around. By the end of this episode, you'll have practical steps to change your life and new English vocabulary to express your ideas even better.
Sarah, thinking about what we just talked about, how life changes little by little, it makes me wonder something. Why do so many people struggle to make those changes in the first place? Like, what's stopping them?
That's such a great question, Mike. And I think change sounds exciting when you talk about it, right? A fresh start, a new beginning. It sounds amazing. But here's the hard truth. Pausing for emphasis. Most people never actually make those changes. And why? Because change is hard. It's really hard.
So what are the common reasons people feel stuck?
Okay, so the first big one, fear of failure. Many people ask themselves, what if I try and fail? And that question paralyzes them. But what if, building emphasis, what if you try and succeed? Every single successful person you know, they've failed multiple times. The difference between them and people who stay stuck, they kept going. They didn't let one failure stop them.
Yes, and then there's the second reason, lack of direction. Some people, they know they want a better life. They have this deep feeling, this yearning for something different, but they don't know where to start. So they think, I need a perfect plan before I take action. And they wait, and wait, and wait.
And the plan never feels perfect, so they never start.
And then there's negative self-talk. This one really gets me. People are saying things like, I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not a language person. These thoughts, they literally stop progress before it even begins. It's like they're building walls around themselves.
And finally, one of the biggest traps, waiting for motivation. People say, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll start when I'm motivated. But here's a secret, leaning in. Motivation comes after action, not before. You don't feel motivated first. You take action first, and then motivation follows.
That reminds me of when I struggled with a personal challenge. And I really did struggle. I kept waiting for the perfect moment to start. I was like, when everything is lined up, when I feel ready, that's when I'll do it. But that moment, it never came. It wasn't until I just took the first step. And honestly, once I did, everything started falling into place.
That's such a great point. And I remember feeling exactly the same way when I was learning English. At first, I thought, I'm not good at this. I'm not a natural. But then I realized the only way to get better was to actually start practicing, to get uncomfortable, to make mistakes.
Exactly. And that brings us to our key lesson here. Understanding what's holding you back. Actually recognizing those barriers, that's the first step to changing your life. Once you recognize these barriers, you can start working on breaking them down, one by one.
So, Mike, now that we understand what holds people back, the next big question is, how do we actually start making those changes? Like, practically speaking, where do we begin?
That's where small daily improvements come in. And this is crucial, Sarah. People often think they need a dramatic transformation overnight, like massive change immediately. But here's what I've learned. Real, lasting change happens gradually. Have you heard of the 1% rule?
I've heard of it, but remind me, I love this concept.
Okay, so if you improve just 1% every single day, you'll be 37 times better in a year. Think about that for a second. That's because small efforts compound over time, just like interest in a bank account. You're not making big deposits, you're making tiny ones, but they keep adding up.
Right, and that ties into the power of habits. There's this guy, James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. He talks about how habits shape our identity, and I think this is so important. Small changes may not seem big at first, not at all, but they're actually redefining who you are over time.
Absolutely. Like imagine reading just 10 minutes a day, or practicing English for 5 minutes daily, or even just replacing one negative thought with a positive affirmation. These seem tiny, right?
Tiny, but
But they're everything. And I love real-life examples. I know someone, and this person's story really inspired me. They became fluent in English just by listening to podcasts every single day. They didn't start with some intense study plan or hire a tutor, just consistent small steps, day after day.
that's so inspiring. And that's the takeaway here, listeners. Small, consistent actions lead to big results over time. Like if you're listening right now and you're wondering where to start, just pick one small habit today. Just one. That's it.
Exactly. But you know what? While taking action is really important, there's something even more fundamental than action, our mindset. Because let's be honest, how we think about change makes all the difference in the world.
Oh, absolutely. There's something called growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and this distinction is life-changing. If you have a growth mindset, you genuinely believe I can improve. You believe you're capable of change. But if you have a fixed mindset, you think I'll never be good at this. This is just who I am.
That's a huge difference. And here's something else. Our brain is literally wired to focus on what we train it to notice. Have you heard of the reticular activating system, or RAS?
Tell me more about that. I find the brain fascinating.
Okay, so it's why when you learn a new word, you suddenly hear it everywhere. Your brain filters information based on what you focus on. It's like your brain has a search function and is constantly searching for what you tell it to search for.
Oh, wow. So if you keep telling yourself, I can't do this, your brain will literally find evidence to prove it. It will focus on every failure, every mistake.
Right. But if you say, I am improving every day, your brain will focus on that progress instead. It'll notice the wins, no matter how small.
That's why reprogramming your mind is so powerful. And there are actually 3 great ways to do that: affirmations, visualization, and gratitude.
Yes, positive self-talk like I am getting better every day actually helps reshape our thoughts over time. It's not fake, it's retraining your brain.
And visualization, seeing yourself succeed, imagining it vividly, it tricks your brain into believing it's possible. Your brain can't really tell the difference between a vivid visualization and an actual experience.
And don't forget gratitude practice. When you focus on what's going well, what you're grateful for, you train your brain to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Instead of scarcity, you see abundance.
That's the real power of mindset. It's not magic, it's not some mystical thing. It's about training your brain to work for you instead of against you.
So true, so true.
Now that we've talked about the power of mindset, there's something else that really holds people back, and I see this everywhere, waiting for the right moment to start.
Yes, so many people believe they need to be completely ready before they take action, like they're waiting for this perfect alignment of circumstances.
But here's the truth, and I say this with love, you will never feel fully ready. Never.
Never. And here's something important. Progress comes before confidence, not the other way around.
When I was learning English, I hesitated to start speaking because I felt like I wasn't ready. With a slight laugh, I kept thinking, what if I make mistakes? What if people judge me? And the more I waited, the harder it became, like the anxiety just built up.
That's so relatable, so relatable. But when you finally took that first step, what happened?
Well, once I started speaking, even though my hands were shaking, I realized that making mistakes was just part of the learning process. It wasn't failure, it was feedback. Each conversation, even with errors, built my confidence a little bit. I wasn't perfect, but I was improving.
And that's the key. There's a concept I absolutely love. Done is better than perfect. Too many people delay action because they want everything to be just right. They want the perfect resume, the perfect plan, the perfect circumstances. But here's the reality. Imperfect action is always better than no action.
Always. If you wait for perfection, you'll never get started. Whether it's learning English, starting a new habit, or making a big life change, just begin. Small steps will lead to big improvements over time.
So here's a quick challenge for you, our listeners. Think of one thing you've been postponing. It could be practicing English, starting a workout routine, or even reaching out to someone for help. And then just take one small step today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because action leads to momentum, and momentum leads to confidence.
That's right. Small, consistent actions over time create massive change. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Make today the day you start.
Speaking of taking action, have you ever noticed how much our surroundings shape our habits and our decisions? Like, it's not just about what we do, but who and what we surround ourselves with.
Oh, absolutely. The people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the mindset you adopt, all of that plays a huge role in shaping your life. It's like your environment is constantly influencing you, whether you realize it or not.
Yes, and there's a famous saying I love. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about that for a second. If you're surrounded by negative, unmotivated people, it's going to be so hard to stay motivated. But if you're around positive, goal-driven individuals, their energy and their habits will rub off on you. You can't help it.
That's so true. So how can we actually create an environment that supports growth?
Well, first, start by following inspirational people. Whether it's authors, speakers, or even social media accounts, expose yourself to positive influences. Over time, it will genuinely shift your mindset. You absorb what you're around.
And joining online learning communities is another great way to stay motivated. There are so many groups out there for English learners, book clubs, personal development communities. When you're part of a community that values growth, you naturally start improving too. You feel the energy.
And just as important as adding positive influences is reducing exposure to negativity. That could mean limiting time spent with people who constantly complain, or even cutting down on negative news and social media that drain your energy. Protect your mind.
That reminds me of when I was learning English. I felt so stuck, really stuck, like I wasn't making progress, and I was starting to doubt myself. But then I joined an English learning community. Suddenly, I had people to practice with, people who understood my struggles, people to celebrate progress with. That made all the difference. It changed everything.
That's such a great example. The right environment creates momentum, which makes it easier to grow and stay on track. You don't have to do it alone.
So here's something to think about. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they helping you grow or are they holding you back? If they're not pushing you to be better, it might be time to make some adjustments. Surround yourself with people and influences that inspire and uplift you.
And speaking of inspiration, sometimes learning new words and phrases can help us articulate our goals and our mindset even better. That's why we have Charlotte here to break down some key vocabulary from today's discussion.
Absolutely. Charlotte, take it away.
Hello, English learners. It's time for Charlotte's vocabulary breakdown. Today, Sarah and Mike introduced some really great concepts about change, mindset, and environment. Let's take a closer look at some key vocabulary and how to use them in real-life conversations. That's it for today's vocabulary breakdown. Back to Sarah and Mike.
Thank you, Charlotte. Those were some really useful words and phrases. So, Mike, if we had to leave our listeners with one key takeaway from today's episode, what would it be?
I'd say it's this. You have more control over your life than you think. Really, you do. Small changes, the right mindset, and a strong environment can completely transform your life. It's not about luck, it's about intentional choices.
That's so true. And remember, progress doesn't happen overnight. Nobody changes their life in a day, but every single step you take gets you closer to where you want to be. Every step matters.
And don't forget to grab our free PDF guide for today's episode. It's packed with practical exercises and vocabulary to help you reinforce what you've learned.
Also, let us know in the comments, what's one small change you're making today? We'd love to hear from you. Seriously, we read every comment, and your stories inspire us.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more people who need to hear this message.
Let's keep growing together. See you next time on US Podcast.